Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me is Sanford, CEO of Nasdaq-listed eXp World Holdings, to discuss how eXp Realty and VirBELA can be leveraged to help organizations grow and scale their business. Glenn, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Hey, thanks, Jill, for having me.
Glenn, tell us about eXp Realty and how COVID-19 impacted the company.
So we're kind of fortunate. eXp Realty, we founded in 2009 as an entirely cloud-based real estate brokerage. So we don't have any physical offices or any bricks and mortar for the offices. So when COVID took place, our agents literally didn't, their work wasn't interrupted. They didn't have to worry about where do they go to the office, where do they engage. And we actually built the entire company. We've got about 600-700 employees. They all have worked remote from day one. So they all work from home or wherever they're at, and they're able to basically stay engaged. So our staff didn't miss a beat. Our agents didn't miss a beat. Obviously, the real estate business in Q2 especially took a big hit for a short period of time because real estate for a lot of states wasn't considered an essential service, and the lockdown really kind of put a damper on things. We were able to pivot fairly quickly because we reduced our staff because there were less transactions going on. But then we were able to actually add staff back fairly quickly once we got through and got into May, June of this year. But eXp Realty really has been sort of a knock on wood, sort of built for this type of thing. We started in 2009, bottom of the housing market. We had actually had multiple physical offices pre-EXP. And we just saw what took place then and said, at some point, there's gonna be some other systemic hit to the industry. Why don't we just prep now that we've got technology in our pockets that is better than anything we had outside of an office or in an office even 10 years before. So just the fact that we're so much more mobile, we've got cell phones that have so much bandwidth, we were able to really build a brokerage around the fact that we didn't really need to go to an office.
Wow, talk about foresight. And you also have a virtual reality company called VirBELA. How can that be leveraged to help organizations grow and scale their business?
Yeah, so that one really is the enabling technology that allowed us as a real estate brokerage to actually not miss a beat. It's there's a lot of, obviously we're doing this over Zoom. There's a lot of people right now that are really complaining about Zoom fatigue because it's really tough to pay attention to the camera up here and yet at the same time look at the nonverbals and conversation the person's having that's on the screen. And so for VirBELA, it's actually a virtual world for work. So we all come into offices as avatars. And we've got campuses, we've got boardrooms, we've got training centers, we've got a soccer field, we've got speedboats. We've just recently added things like concert stages where we've literally had concerts that are being sort of live videoed, actually broadcast on a stage, and people actually go into an audience and actually be participating with that. So it really kind of duplicates the physical settings that a lot of people are used to, but in an entirely virtual way. And we actually bought the company back in November of 2018. At that time, we were their single biggest customer. Actually, we're over 50% of their revenue. So we're like, hey, we want you guys to do certain things that really would help us. And as a SaaS customer, we weren't getting that type of attention. We bought them, we helped them sort of scale, and then all of a sudden COVID hit, and now we've got hundreds of companies, some of them large employers, some as many as 30, 40,000 employees that are moving significant portions of their workforce into their own VirBELA private campuses. And then we've also got small team suites where people, you have teams as small as, well, you can be smaller than 10, but we've got team suites for supporting 10 people on your team going up to 100. And then our private campuses go up from there. And we have, companies like eXp that have, 30,000 plus, folks that are part of the organization that are using it as their place to go to work.
Well, Glenn, we know how eXp feels about remote work. Do you think work from home is a trend overall that's here to stay, or it'll be more of a hybrid environment as companies navigate to the other side of COVID-19?
Yeah, so I think what'll end up happening is you're going to have a certain number of companies. Some of them already made the declaration. You can look at Twitter as one of them that have said, hey, we're going entirely remote. We're not going back to an office. We're not going to, we're going to basically be 100% remote organizations. So you're going to see more and more companies that really make a switch to being 100% remote. I think most companies, though, are going to be either a hybrid or they're going to have a remote option as a contingency plan in case something else happens in the future. So they might research, they might have something there on the side. But if you're a restaurant, if you're retail, you're certainly going to have to go back to a physical setting. But how do you engage with the corporate office or the head office? I think that can be done much more effectively than jumping on planes and then so I think that part is definitely going to be the way of the future. I think airline industry is going to continue to have challenges even post-COVID, because I think we just fundamentally know we can do business, we can build relationships, we can put together business deals, the whole 9 yards, without actually looking each other in the eye in the same physical space.
Yep, and of course you have the environmental and sustainable side of it that goes into it. Well, Glenn, appreciate the insight. Thanks so much for joining us on Trade Talks.
Awesome. Thanks, Jill.
And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.